That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live audience over there, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Don't forget Alexa. Yes, Alexa sometimes can even be found in certain vehicles via the Alexa app, which I just found out. And we appreciate the Alexa app as well. If you're tuning in on the radio, of course, tune in to 1490 AM. And we got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there. Jesse, quick question. Obviously, a lot of people are in for a new vehicle, but the question I have for you is, what is one of the best vehicles that you've ever seen ever? And Jesse, I got a quick question. Do you think it should be one that is like a big ride, a small ride, or a medium ride? What do you think?
I say whatever ride feels comfortable and fits you properly, because you don't want to drive a car that's way bigger than you, and you don't want to squish your big body into a tiny car. So you want to find the one that best suits
I
you.
agree. And joining us right now, right at the top of this, is a very good friend and somebody who knows exactly what he's talking about when it comes to the latest in vehicles. I'm talking about Ricardo Rodriguez of Garage Latino. Welcome back to the show, Ricardo. It's been a while.
Hey, hello, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Look, you are, as I always say, the person that if you're going to buy a vehicle, you should check out and ask what Ricardo's got to say, because he'll tell you like it is. I kind of make it a little bit more less. I just kind of go, does it go forward? Does it go back? Is it fast? But lately, there are some vehicles that have gone like next level when it comes to intelligence of A, safety, and B, just kind of cool gadgets. Can you talk about some of them?
Oh, yes. And I agree with what Jesse said. You should find a vehicle that really sort of suits you. Although it's interesting, some companies like Ford, General Motors have done a lot of studies, and it seems like people like bigger vehicles, bigger trucks. And that's what we have seen through the years. If you remember, the Honda Civic was a tiny little automobile, and today it's almost like, it's a mid-sized sedan. And the pickup trucks of yesterday, today are really monsters where you literally have to climb up to them. And then once you're on these trucks, you need cameras so you can see the front of the vehicle, So it's a little bit out of whack. But it's a lot of nice vehicles, a lot of trucks, a lot of sedans, crossovers. I mean, there is so much to choose today. And I have to say, they're all good. It's hard to find a bad car. So you start nitpicking on little things that could be more convenience or not, depending to you what you like. I think companies today are really more into the branding themselves. People will like to feel more either comfortable or with their wallet, or uncomfortable with the wallet, but feeling very good in their neighborhood with a brand name. A lot of good cars, and some cars that are really steering up the market are especially the Korean manufacturers. They have come to play with high quality and very good products that really are the talk of today.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Recently, I've had a chance to test drive, and I'm still test driving. I'm not going to lie. I kind of think I want to hold on to it for at least a little bit longer than the week that they give it to me. For those that don't know, both Ricardo and myself are part of the Hispanic Motor Press, and of course, founded by Ricardo Rodriguez. And Ricardo, I've been with you probably, how long has it been? We've been judges on this, and I remember bringing in my own little 2 cents, and I remember thinking certain vehicles were like, meh, and you're like, give it a ride, give it some time, and then we went on the racing track. Do you think we're going to get on the racing track with any of these vehicles anytime soon?
I sure hope so, but it looks like it's not going to happen anytime soon. The logistics, putting people together and all that are going to be very complicated today. And as you understand, manufacturers are also very skeptical. God forbid something happens or someone gets sick while one of these sponsor events for manufacturer, that it can create bad press, and nobody wants bad press right now. Again, just the purpose of Hispanic Motor Press, just like many other organizations that create these awards. It's just to make people aware that there's some other vehicles out there that might be worth it, and you might not be aware that they even exist. And I will never forget when you complained all along on the van on the ride to Willow Springs that you will never think of a Korean car. And then when you drove the Kia Cadenza, you were convinced that maybe it's worth
I was a newfound believer. I was a newfound believer for sure. Here's what I got to say. I got a chance again to check out the latest Genesis GV80. And this vehicle is, I have to say, one of the smoothest rides I've seen in a long time. It's compact, it's good, it's wide, it's bold, and it's fierce. I don't know what other things I could say. By Car and Driver, they rated a 10 out of a 10. Motor Trend 7.6 out of a 10. It's priced at $48,900 up to 21 city, 25 highway. I got up to 30 on the Eco because I was like, I didn't want to pay that much for the gas because it's adding up a little, right? And but boy, if it's got in the sport mode, it goes fast.
I have to say that this company Genesis, it's one of the I think is the company has improved its quality the most, has listened to the consumers, it's taken the challenges thrown at them, and this vehicle it is one of the best overall, one of the best in the market today. Similarly to what happened last year with the Kia Telluride, which is same thing, sort of the same segment. We're talking about mid-size SUVs. You know, these are what today are becoming family cars. Many of them have 3-row options, so you can carry the kids in the back. Powerful, you know, and with a lot of style, and on a market that was totally, it was the Ford Explorer territory. I mean, right? I mean, for years and years, that was pretty much the only good option you had. Today, there's a lot of very, very good vehicles. Now, the Genesis is the luxury brand of the Korean manufacturers. So, so they're targeting, you know, the BMWs, the Mercedes, and so forth. And that's not an easy market to conquer because you really have to deliver. You really have to have the goods for people to even pay attention to you. But with this car, the one you're driving right now, this GV80, it's in style. It's really nice. The fit and finish is very, very good. Performance it's a car well done, and is receiving a lot of accolades among a lot of other vehicles that you would expect that would be above the Genesis. And I've been surprised. You know, BMW is still, I think it's the brand name is what's pulling the performance on that. The Porsche Cayenne is still a little bit dated today. You know, there's the Lexus. I think the design of the Lexus is not as appealing anymore. So there's a lot of very good vehicles in that luxury space. But one that I would say is a very good contender, just like this Genesis, is the Lincoln Aviator. This American product that is still showing great interiors, and the Aviator has a lot of power. I mean, you're talking about 400 horsepower. It has a hybrid plug-in version, about the same price range. But the interiors in these new Lincolns are really, really nice. And this Aviator has a lot of presence when you're next to it. So I think it's a good comparison to the Genesis GV80. Either of these two vehicles, I'm going to make it happy.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ride for sure. I'll be honest. I've never really driven I've driven for a friend an Escalade. Okay, that's as powerful as I got. But the newest features in each and every one of these, they're more than muscle. They're more than like, I'm going to say they spend a lot of gas. I'm not going to lie on that. But at the same time, getting 30 on the one that I drove, for me was actually, it felt good because that's what I would normally get on my old like Honda Accord, or you know what I mean? So, and then the inside of these things, I just got to go through some of these, and which some of these already have, and you know about this. Autonomous driving isn't necessarily always a great thing. Sorry, that's probably the factory asking for their car back. But
well, yeah, you might want to define a little bit what autonomous driving is, because there's really no car that it's allowed legally to be driven by itself. There's different levels of what we call it autopilot. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 being it does everything by itself. So but these new technologies, what they're allowing you to do is, once you get on the highway, you can set up these smart cruise controls, and because they have radars and lidar systems, they can measure the distance from the vehicles in front of you and the back of you, so they can accelerate and decelerate automatically to maintain the distance. Also, they have lane control, meaning the vehicle will try to center itself in your lane. So if you're just not paying attention and the car is sort of slightly starting going sideways with danger to go into the next lane, it will automatically center itself. So all these systems are what we call assistants to driving, and they're very, very complex, and they work. Now, they all feel a little bit different, and you have to get used to them. And definitely, you don't want to, you can't think that you're an autopilot. You're still in control of the vehicle. This is just to help you to navigate better and relax you while you're
and the interior is just a beautiful, beautiful, sleek design on the Genesis. They really brought it together. When you sit down in the seats, they're just beautiful. And you're right, the GV80 features the advanced driver assistance systems, including like highway driving assist, which is good. It caught me out of a couple little binds. Then there's sometimes I'm like, okay, I need it back, because I know I want to leave the lane, right? But it has an upgraded HDA2 system that helps assist the driver in a wider variety of situations. It includes the lane change function when the turn signal is used at over 60 kilometers an hour. It helps to merge in congested situations. And it's just got okay. The only thing this thing doesn't have is the kit sound. You know what I mean? Like from Knight Rider, I want the kit saying things to me in such a way that it gives me advice as I go along, but good advice, It
will do that. It will do that. You just didn't get to it yet. But it does have voice recognition, and the vehicle can talk to you and give you directions. So it is one of the features. But there's so much technology with this car that is you need a 500-page manual to learn everything that you do with it.
And for those of you watching our live stream there, I was asked by somebody who actually was in the market for one of these, and he was waiting for a Jaguar, right? Or how do you say it? A Jaguar, right? You got to do it like the commercial does, a Jaguar, right? It's not a Jaguar, it's a Jaguar. And the screen at the top is actually a total of 14.5 inches. It's called an infotainment display. It calls it a cockpit. It really does feel like you're the commander of this ship vessel, and as you drive it, it's not one of those that you could go, wait, hold on. Oh, and it's touchscreen, so you touch it. For a while there, you have like a little mouse pad, little device, and I wasn't feeling that too much. But when I touched it, I'm like, oh, I could, like, I don't know why I felt like, oh, this is amazing. But it has so many different features. You kind of like can be a kid at it. It's got heated seats and cooling seats. I went all the way on the full heat, as you can imagine. It was pretty comfortable. The design they call it an ergo motion seat, and it's a third generation seat. It has bejeweled Genesis flagship SUV, which they're known for, right? Beautiful interiors. I like them. For high quality comfort of the cabin, it houses second row VIP seats to provide the ultimate seating comfort. And it has an air support system. That's what I was talking about. It has, and get this, 7 air sails that have a feature that reduces fatigue from long hours of driving. It even has this moment. I don't know why it says it, which is why I feel like it needs to talk to me a little. It says, take a break. I'm like, and it has a little coffee symbol that shows up. And then here's an interesting thing that I haven't seen in any other SUV. Maybe you have, Ricardo. But in the section where you have your speedometer, when you turn left or right, the speedometer turns into a I don't know how to explain it. So the circle turns into, like, if you go left or right, it turns on the camera for you to see automatically who's to your left or who's to your right. It like disappears as a speedometer, and all of a sudden it's this little, what do you call it? Like a TV screen as a it's you have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, it works. We first saw that on a Honda, and it works sort of as a side view mirror, on the door. But you don't have to turn your head now. You can just see it right in front of you. So again, a lot of technologies in these cars that it's just there's so much. I think a lot of people don't really know anymore all the features that come in all these luxury vehicles. You can add applications to that displayed screen the infotainment screen. You can add screens. You can use it, to see photographs. I mean, you can download stuff. I mean, but I sometimes am a little bit hesitant when I see these bigger and bigger screens. I think they can also be a distraction. I do recall recently I drove a Subaru that now has a huge screen in the center, sort of like the Tesla. But actually, when I was driving at night, it was very distracting. It was so bright and it was so big that it's just like, I have to figure out how to sort of tune these down because it was a little bit bothersome. So there is a catch-22.
Yeah.
And but manufacturers are working very hard on integrating all this technology. I'm just waiting for the Sony car. Honestly, that's what I'm waiting for, because there is a company with no automotive background, right? But they do know technology. And if you recall, Sony from sound products, they got into the camera world, and one of the best digital cameras today is a Sony. So I can expect them now that they already tested their vehicle in Austria. That will be a full technological vehicle that is gonna really make happy the next generation of buyers that are really, really into the technology and not so much into the dynamics of the car.
I'm looking at that now, Ricardo. I've got questions that need to be answered, which are, I think the kids are going to want the control panel in the back more than the front, because I think this could be a complete. I'm gonna give this to you. I had to turn down the brightness on the vehicle, and then I turned down the brightness so much when I wanted to show it to the person asking, who stopped me literally in the car parking lot. He was like, he had questions for me. I couldn't turn it back up. So but it has an automatic day and night. And I'm not going to lie, I felt like I should know this stuff. It should be easy. But I'm looking at the Sony one, and I feel like there's too many monitors. I feel like this one should fly.
And probably it's not going to even have a steering wheel by the time it's coming out to the market. So it'll be something that you sit in there, and you pretty much can keep working and or watching your movie or whatever, and the car is going to really take you anywhere you want. But you're just telling them, "Hey, take me to see Jesse," and there it goes.
Which I'm okay with if it's like, I don't know why, but I feel like if I'm going to have an autonomous car, if it goes like 5 or 10 miles when it's bumper to bumper traffic, that I'm good with. I'm not good with automatic all the time. Even the lane shifting, I'm like, I want to turn this off because I want to take it left. And it's like, no, you're going to stay centered. I'm like, no, I want to go left. But it also has very good warning systems. It actually has one where it sometimes you're looking down or you're doing something and it automatically alerts you the car in front of you sped off. So in other words, it's like a kind note, like red light turned green. Hello. So, instead of, that person in your ear, it's green, go. So, it's got kind ways to tell you, get going. And then be safe at the same time. There was a warning alert system that kind of went off when I got, I guess, too close to a vehicle. I guess I get close to people when they're turning a slow right. We all do. And it alerted me to the point where I was like, it kind of freaked me out because it came out of nowhere. I'm like, no, I get it. Like, I know my gauge, but it's good, I think, for drivers that need to be more aware. What do you think?
Well, safety, it's the reason that we are seeing all the systems being implemented. And definitely the idea is to minimize the risk, when you're behind the automobile. If you like cars, then you probably will learn how to drive and enjoy it. But we have to remember there's, more than 50% of the population are not really into cars, meaning like, oh, I want to buy a car, I want to drive a car to work. I mean, if there was another option, they would not do it. So for those people, sometimes, driving a car, it could be intimidating still. And especially if you need to drive one of these big trucks today, that they're really intimidating. They're huge. So even the Genesis that you're driving, that's a pretty good sized vehicle. And, they're all of a sudden, they're not so easy to park in places like San Francisco. I mean, here in Los Angeles, it's the city of the car. Everything is revolving around the car. So that we always have room, we have big parking lots and so forth. But if you think at a global scale, if you're in Japan, if you're in Europe, if you're, in a lot of parts of Asia, the streets are very small. There's no parking anywhere. So people have to think, do I really need to be putting up with all this traffic and all these? How about if they help me a little bit? And that's how these systems come into play, helping the safety of all the occupants inside a vehicle, while still not being a car that drives by itself.
Yeah, I agree. It seems Jesse wants features like rear smoke screen or spike deployment in case people are following him too close. Jesse, is there any other additions you want to that?
There was a couple, but then I'm afraid that they'll cause too many accidents on the freeway. Or maybe like a megaphone. So like if someone's driving too close, you'd be like, back off. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I agree. So
that distance pretty soon is going to be a standard, because all these new vehicles are now coming with the system that they're measuring the distance from the front vehicle and the back vehicle. So it gets to a point where you can't get any closer. The car actually stops or maintains the distance. The Genesis that you're driving right now, just as well as the Aviator that I mentioned before, have systems where on an emergency, they will avoid a collision. They will apply the brakes by themselves. They're measuring the distance and your speed. And as you move forward, they calculate that, wait a minute, you're going too fast. You're going to hit the car in the front. I'm putting the brakes on. I'm taking over. You, Mr. Driver, are not doing a good job.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of my thing. So make sure you take a test drive of these vehicles. Really quick, I got it before we go. Talk about some of these prices. Again, $48,500. I'm going to bring up the graphic again for the Genesis GV80. And again, 48,000. Actually, I honestly thought for this type of ride, it would probably go, when I first saw it, for 80, maybe 75, because I know vehicles that have gone for that much.
Well, it is in the segment where the average pricing for these vehicles is in the mid 70s. So that's something that Genesis is being able to do, which is provide you all that luxury, all that detail, the smoothest ride and all that, and still be very price competitive. So that's and I think that's what they need to do to sort of compete in that market. Otherwise, if they're priced the same as a big BMW or Mercedes-Benz, then people will still gravitate to the brand because of the unknownness of Genesis being sort of a new brand.
Yeah,
by the way, the Navigator is right there at the $50,000. So both of these vehicles are competitive. It's just a different taste, I will say. But I like the Aviator because it does have that option of the plug-in hybrid, and I got a little better fuel mileage than the Genesis, and I like the interior, and they're both very competitive. So it's just a question of taste. Go drive them both.
Yeah, I get it. And I love the Genesis GV80. I have not tried the other two. I'm open to wait before we judge at the final time, and we hand out the awards. And hopefully by then we can at least practice some good social distancing. I don't know if the auto show is going to come back anytime soon, but I think there's a clear, easy way to do it. Just keep it all outside. I mean, come on, we have drive-ins for crying out loud. So, right? I mean, I would take this car to a drive-in, but I kind of want to play like it on the monitor as well, like Netflix, for the kids, but when you're in park, obviously, for obvious reasons. So there you go. All right, Ricardo, thank you so very much for spending time with us here on the morning show. I want to say thank you. It's been a long time. Hopefully we can do it again. I think this week I'm getting a RAV4. Looking forward to that one. And I'm sure you're getting one around the corner as well, right?
I can tell you everything about the Honda CR-V, direct competitor.
All right, let's do that. Let's do that the next time around when we have you back. All right, Ricardo, thank you for spending time with us here on the morning show. Make it a good one. Great. All right, for the rest of you, we'll be right back right after these messages. Go check it out, Garage Latino. You can find him on Facebook. Go subscribe, and we'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned.
For generations, alligators have weathered nature, biological threats, and predators. How do they do this? The answer is in their uncanny DNA. Alligators have one of the strongest immune systems in the animal kingdom. Their fat cells contain the essential oils needed to fight off deadly infection and rejuvenate skin. How can you benefit from the alligator's amazing rejuvenating powers? Cayman oil. Cayman oil is the revitalizing and healing power of the alligator in a bottle. Cayman oil is carefully purified and refined with an added hint of vitamin E and lavender to better harness the alligator's ability to heal worn and damaged skin.